Sir, can you please explain about Uniform Civil Code?
Yeah. Uniform Civil Code in our country we are having different cultures, we are having different religions and different people. But and personal laws are also there. For example, a Muslim can marry four persons, and his diverse laws are different. Like there are intercaste marriages. Several such things are there. In order to say common things which are uniform to all, there must be some civil code which makes all citizens are equal, certain common things which will not interfere in the personal and religious rights of others. That common civil code, a right is fundamental right is there. Uniform Civil Code. But Directive Principles of State Policy. There is a duty cast to make a uniform civil code. So I was telling about you Shahbanu's case in 85 to 86. Thereafter, one Muslim diverse act has come into force, and now Modi government has implemented or brought one law making this is not correct. So likewise, some laws are made. Now Uniform Civil Code for all the citizens. Since we treat all the citizens, we have to treat equally. Some code which is uniform to all without interfering into the cultural and religious rights of them. This Uniform Civil Code state has to make.
Yeah. Next question.
Kirtana has a question. If the judges violate the law, what will be the...
Kirtana, open your video.
Kirtana, you can ask the question.
Yes. What is the question?
Kirtana.
Question, please.
So what if the judges of the court violate the law?
Judges are also just like any other citizens. Like they also have got all rights what are there under the Constitution. Then because of the post which they are having and discharging their duties, certain times some unnecessary allegations are made against the judges. So they need to have some protection. For that protection, there are certain laws. In pursuance of that laws, without violating their rights, both fundamental and other rights, you can make a complaint against the judges. If they suppose they have got some privileges, judges have got some privileges. Suppose they have committed an offense, you have given a complaint against them, they can't be arrested. They have to approach the concerned authority. Generally, if he is a judge below the rank of up to the rank of district judge, you approach the district judge. The concerned authority, the police authority, approaches the district judge and informs that so-and-so judge has violated so-and-so law in his personal capacity. Then the permission is taken. Thereafter, he is arrested. And like any other common man, he also will be tried. Suppose if there are corruption cases, he is the judge also involved in it. Anti-corruption laws are there. Judges, but only thing is, if any allegation is made in respect of his discharging his duties, suppose he has given a judgment, you have an allegation that he has supported one particular party and given a wrong judgment, you are having a right to approach the appellate court and set it right. That is one right. Apart from that, if you have got evidence to show that, suppose he took a car from the party, or he went along with him to a hotel or something like that. That evidence is there that you can brought it to the knowledge of the higher authorities, and they will take action. Then you know very well about the High Court and Supreme Court judges. There is a procedure. Kannan case, a very famous case, where he was sent to jail for 3 months for contempt of court and other things, for making allegations against the Supreme Court judges. So now there is a procedure to be followed. Likewise, it is not like in England, where in England, Contempt of Court Act powers are not there, but in India, contempt court powers are there to judges. That is High Court and Supreme Court, not for the district courts. If contempt is made by in respect of a district judge or subordinate judges, then they have to approach the higher courts. So
Next
you have
question.
to be,
Next question. Next question.
You have to
Next.
be very one
Next.
minute.
Next question.
You have to be very careful in giving a complaint against a judge. Okay.
Next question, Padma. Hello, Mr. Padma Reddy. Please open your video also and ask Padma Reddy. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
Sir, is law and justice both are same?
No. Law and justice are not, both are not same.
How they differ?
I will tell you. See, we have almost adopted most of the principles and laws of what you say, English system. In English system, in Privy Council, there are two types of courts. One is equity courts, one is regular law courts. Generally, in law courts, only personal, and in law courts, there are property rights and there are individual rights. That is freedom and other things. In equity courts, the judges are selected not only by way of seeing their qualifications, even otherwise. Even in India, a jurist can be appointed as a judge to Supreme Court, even though he is not having law degree. So equity courts generally are conducted, are presided by the judges who are competent to judge the cases which are generally dealing with property rights, and legal courts, personal rights. That is in English system. But in India, prior to coming into force of constitution, we were having equity courts and law courts. So law sometimes may be legal, sometimes it may be illegal. If the law is illegal, then the High Courts and Supreme Court stuck down. Law is made by legislature or parliament or somebody. Certain times even judges. Law may be legal or illegal. It may not be totally justiciable. Justice is, in order to do justice, sometimes you will interpret the law in such a manner to do justice. Law may not itself totally doing the justice. In law, certain things may not be there. Legislature must have failed while incorporating law by understanding the practical difficulties of a particular person who was not getting justice. So justice is achieved not only through law, but also sometimes you can understand judicial activism, you can understand public interest litigation, locus standi principle. All these things are in order to do justice. There is no law. Law is strictly, if you implement, sometimes you may not get justice. That's our last. A provision is made to do justice, when there is no specific provision of law.
Next question.
Thank you, sir.
Lalita has a question. Lalita?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah.
Sir, recently I've read that right to privacy has been added to the fundamental rights.
Open your video. Open your video.
Yeah, you
Lalita.
are. Yes, right to privacy is now a fundamental right. You are right.
Okay, sir. And which article is it there?
I told, no? Article 20.
Is it
A,
Article 21, sir?
Article 21A is no person shall be deprived of his personal liberty or life. That is Article 21. Okay. Now, just while I was telling, I told you about right to privacy is also one of the right that is added. I'll give the amendment and dates and all that in due course of time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Please. Sir, please continue with your lecture. Please continue.
Now, we partly completed about what is called fundamental rights. Now, let us see what are the fundamental rights and how we are going to achieve the goals of the Constitution while implementing the constitutional duties and directive principles of state policy, and then achieve the various rights implementation. So let us see what are fundamental rights. We had discussion about yes. The right to equality, Article 14 to 18. Right to freedom, Articles 19 to 22. The right to equality includes equality before the law, the prohibition of discrimination on grounds of religion, race, caste, gender, or place of birth, equality of opportunity in the matters of employment, the obligation of untouchability and abolition of titles. The right to freedom includes freedom of speech and expression, assembly, association or union or cooperatives, movement, residence, and right to practice any profession or occupation. The right against exploitation. It prohibits all forms of forced labor, child labor, and trafficking of human beings. Children under the age of 14 are not allowed to work. Then, right to freedom of religion. It includes freedom of conscience and conscience and free profession, practice and propagation of religion, freedom to manage religious affairs, freedom from certain taxes, and freedom from religious instructions in certain educational institutions. Then the fifth right, the culture and educational rights. It preserves the right of any section of citizens to conserve their culture, language, or script, and right of minorities to establish and administer educational institution of their childs. For implementation of all these 5 rights, we have got another right, the 6th right. The right to constitutional remedies is present for enforcement of fundamental rights. This is a very valuable right. Article 21A, right to education, states that the state shall provide free and compulsory education to all the children of age of 6 to 14 years. Yes. Just now, one girl has asked about right to privacy. About that, now I am telling this right to freedom of privacy, right to privacy is an intrinsic part of Article 21. 21, no person shall be deprived of his personal liberty without established of due process of law, his personal life and all that. That includes this, Article 21 right includes this right to privacy, which protects the life and liberty of citizens. It is a newest right assured by the Supreme Court of India. It assures the people data and personal security. So right to privacy is part of Article 21, and as per the decision of the Supreme Court, it is a new right assured by it. People's data and personal security is protected. If it is violated, either under Article 32 or under Article 26, directly any citizen of the country can approach and seek for remedies. Fundamental rights for Indians have also been aimed at overturning the inequalities of pre-independent social practices. This is more important. Before the independence, there are so many social malpractices, so many inequalities, social practice, they like our untouchability, discrimination on the ground of religion, sex, or place of birth. These rights, fundamental rights, prohibits all these things. So you have to keep in mind, while implementing these fundamental rights, if any person is having difficulty, he can directly approach the Supreme Court. Now, under Article 32 or under Article 226, either by filing a writ or directly writing to it by any means. Honorable Justice Chinnappa Reddy, while reading a letter published in Hindu newspaper in respect of some injustice done against to that one person by LIC or some institution, he treated that letter as a writ petition and granted remedies. So this public interest litigation locus standi system is also changed. Articles 14 to 18, the principal foundation of all other rights and liberties and guarantees. You have to treat the equals equally and unequals unequally and make them as equals, and justice is done to them. This is the principle, not only in terms of law, but also in order to achieve the social equality and equal access to public areas. This is enshrined in Article 15. On the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, or place of birth, you can't prevent access to public areas. Recently, you must have read about the judgment in respect of Lord Ayyappa's temple entry for the ladies, likewise Sabarimala, and also Padmanabha temple, all these things. They are urging that on the basis of sex of a person, you can't prevent a person from exercising their right to access to public areas. We have to wait and see what will be the ultimate end of the judgment. So, in order to achieve the goals of the Constitution for the advancements of any socially or educationally backward classes or scheduled castes or scheduled tribes, certain important provisions are made. Under Article 16, 15, Article 15 is public areas and social equality, and Article 16 is for public employment. Then Article 17 is to prevent the malpractice, this act has come into force. It is renamed as Protection of Civil Rights Act in 1976. It provides penalties for preventing a person from entering a place or from taking water from a tank or well. So in certain temples, certain people are not allowed to enter. So these things are all prohibited now. So Article 18 deals with the abolition of titles. No citizen of India cannot accept any title from the foreign state. All titles, Rao Bahadurs, Khan Bahadurs, which are titles created and conferred by the English system or England while it is ruling. Empire of England was in force. They are all abolished. Now, the awards of Padma Bhushan, Bharat Ratna cannot be used as the title by the recipient as a title and do not accordingly come within the constitutional prohibition. The Supreme Court on 15th December 1995 upheld the validity of such awards. Then right to freedom. I have been telling to you, all of you, that right to freedom of speech and expression, it is there. Right to assemble peacefully without arms. Right to form companies or unions or cooperative societies. Right to move freely throughout the country. You know, you are experiencing about not moving from one state to another state, lockdown and all that. Fundamental right is there to move all over India freely. Then reasonable restrictions can be imposed. For health reasons, due to health problems, reasonable restrictions are kept for not moving from place to place or state to state during COVID-19 epidemic is going on. Then freedom to reside and settle in any part of the India, subject to reasonable restrictions. Previously, Jammu and Kashmir, Indian citizens, other state citizens cannot go and purchase property. Now, that is also removed. Article 370 used to restrict citizens from other Indian states and Kashmiri women who marry men from other state from purchasing land or property in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Now Article 370 is no longer applicable in the Union Territory of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh from 6th August 2019. You can now marry a person, even a girl of Jammu and Kashmir, and she doesn't lose her right of property in the properties that are there to her parents, or otherwise she is entitled in Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh cities from August 6th of 2019. Then another right to practice any profession or to carry on any occupation, trade or business. But the state may impose some restriction in the public interest. Then you have got a classification, whether the classification is legal or not, whether reasonable or not, whether any, in order to achieve any goal or purpose, that particular restrictions are kept or not. All these things will be considered by the court in order to see whether those restrictions are reasonable, and classification is made in order to achieve some object, and classification is also properly done or not. Professional or technical qualification may be prescribed for practicing any profession or carrying on any trade. You know, Article 20, it says that conviction for offenses has to be only once. If a person has committed an offense, he should be punished for that offense only once. He can't be punished twice or thrice for the same offense. Then Article 21 gives the right to life and personal liberty and the right to die with dignity. As we discussed, the right to privacy. Article 21A gives freedom education to all children of age of 6 to 14 years as the state determines. Article 22 deals with protection against arrest and detention in certain cases. So then you have got RTI Act. It is also part of right to privacy, right to freedom of speech and expression. So then right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, all these rights. Though several rights are there, including right to work and cultural and educational rights. People are complaining that they are not getting social justice, and their rights are imprisoned by the authorities under the garb of law made by the state. Those laws are illegal. Illegality is going on, and so those restrictions has to be removed and struck down by the Supreme Court. And, but one thing you have to keep in mind about whether a fundamental right is can be amended, whether fundamental rights are not sacrosanct or not, then validity of Article 31B, amendment to Article 31C, and what is the difference between right to freedom of property that was there previously in fundamental rights, and now it's a constitutional right. And these things, if you have got any doubt, because of short of time, I am proceeding speedily. If you are having any doubts, you can ask.
About the fundamental right can be amended or not. Will you discuss it in the next session, sir?
Part of it I will tell now.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I prepared some answers to the question whether a fundamental right can be amended or not.
Not,
This
yes, sir.
question which you have sent to me.
Yes, sir.
I read one phrase of the Lord Denning.
Yes.
Lord Denning is considered to be the god of the judges. He is the best judge. Lord Denning says, this is very important. Law does not stand still. It moves continually. Once this is recognized, then the task of the judge is put on a higher plane. He must consciously seek to mold the law so as to serve the needs of time. As the time is changing, the law is also changing. If the law doesn't change, if the legislature does not respond, or the legislature makes a law in contravention of the objects of the preamble or the fundamental rights, then the court will struck down that law. So an amendment which is made abrogating the rights of fundamental rights, because in fundamental rights itself there is a provision which says that no law can be made infringing the rights of fundamental rights. Then another law is made under Article 368 or so, stating under that provision the Parliament has got power to amend the fundamental rights also. But the various judgments of the Supreme Court right from 1950, though initially in 1950 there is a judgment originally which says that the fundamental rights also can be amended, but now finally the final and conclusion now is that in 1973, I will explain you in 5 minutes. Please take.
Yes.
We have to keep in mind supremacy of the Constitution and a republican and democratic form of government, secular character of Constitution and separation of power and federal character of Constitution. These are all the things which are basic structure of the Constitution. The doctrine of basic structure of the Constitution after it has come into force, after the first Constitutional Amendment Act 1951, it was challenged in Shankari Prasad versus Union of India case. it violates part 3 of the Constitution. And the party sought to hold it as invalid. Supreme Court held that under Article 368, the court has power to amend any part of the Constitution, including fundamental rights. But in 1960 till 1965 also, the court gave the same ruling in Sajjan Singh. But in Golaknath versus State of Punjab in 1967, the Supreme Court overruled its decisions and held that you can't do it. Finally, in Keswananda Bharati case, the validity of 24th Constitutional Amendment Act by reviewing its decision in Golaknath case, and it held, the Supreme Court, Justice H.R. Khanna judge has held that it has no power to amend the basic structure of the Constitution, and the law could not be abrogated even by constitutional amendment. So, as I stated, certain basic structures which are like supremacy of the Constitution, republican and democratic form of government, secular character of the Constitution, federal character of the Constitution, separation of power, unity and sovereignty of India, individual freedom, all these things in Keswananda Bharati case held. It can't, law can't dilute the basic structure of the Constitution. Later in Indira Gandhi versus Rajnarayan case, Minerva Mill and Union of India, the same principle is followed. Now, you can't violate basic structure of the Constitution. Whether a particular provision comes within the basic structure of the Constitution or not, that will be decided based on the facts and circumstances of a particular case. So, now we can say, to the extent which is not part of the basic structure of the Constitution, the Parliament may, by following Article 368 or so, majority and all those things, can amend. But basic structure of the Constitution cannot be amended. This is the principle of law.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for a detailed answer to the question.